Hey everybody, welcome to the Cow Emporium. Today's video is a little bit different. Today we're talking about 10 things that you should know about farmers. Number one, I'm just going to jump right into it. Number one, never ask how many cows or how much land somebody has. This one's a little tricky. I think that people that aren't farmers don't know that they shouldn't ask these things because they are sometimes considered to be too personal. However, we as farmers quite often, it's just natural conversation to ask somebody what they do for a living, right? I've decided that I'm not too concerned about somebody asking me in the future how many cows we have or how much land we have. And Annette is super not worried about it because she doesn't own any cows. And I have 5 acres with my name on it. Anyhow, don't be afraid to ask those questions. We don't need to be so uptight about it. Okay, that was funny. I really thought about that one a lot lately. Number 2, always leave a gate the way you found it. Okay, this one, you should never be entering somebody's property without their permission to start with. However, in this COVID event, that has been happening to some of our neighbors out to the west in foothills in the mountains. Urban dwellers have been, especially in the summertime, making their way back into the mountains and the foothills on their way to, I don't know, wherever they could go, and just helping themselves to farmers' fields. And I can tell you right now, that upsets them more than anything. They'd sooner ask how many cows they have. I've been asked this question a lot over the years, and I always start with, I have the stupidest question for you. And I want you to know right now, nothing's a stupid question because personally, I don't know everything. So I appreciate when somebody asks me something that I do know about. So what is the difference between a heifer and a steer? Well, most people know the difference between a cow and a bull, no problem. But a heifer and a steer, a heifer is a girl calf that is born, and we call her a heifer until she has a calf, in which time she would become a cow on our books. And a steer is a calf that was born as a boy with testicles, and then we remove those testicles. And we used to do it at branding. We used to castrate them, which means basically to cut them off. And now we mostly do that during calving time. We have this gun and we squeeze it. It has a really tight rubber band on it that goes around the testicles, and then they basically shrivel up. Sorry guys. Okay, that's the difference between heifers and steers. Now you know. Number 4, our chore clothes last forever. It's kind of embarrassing actually, but they're broken and they're comfortable, and they're really usually quite expensive. They're warm, they're well made. So we've had this motley crew of chore clothes that we've had for a long time, and just recently I bought Glenn a new jacket to go over top of his winter coveralls that he wears, and it's lovely and it's so nice, and it's not calving season yet, so it won't be destroyed for a while. However, he's been trying to manage the last 3 years, I think. His winter jacket, the zipper was broken on it or something was wrong with it, and he's been making do with sweaters and heavy quilted jackets over top of his coveralls. And really the coveralls are nice and warm quilted, but anyway, our chore clothes can get pretty nasty during calving season, I'm not gonna lie, and Nat doesn't really like them going through her good washing machine. However, if we don't wash them at some point, they tend to just almost walk away by themselves. 5, guys, we might have cows, but not everybody has horses. Not everybody has horses or wear cowboy hats. That's just not a thing for us anyway. Of course, on this farm, there used to be horses here because everything was literally horse-powered back in the day. And there was many, many hired men to make the farm run. That's just how it was. Things were a lot more manual labor and less more machinery. Okay, number 6, don't insult somebody's water source. For some, that might be their only source of water, and it's really important. If they have livestock, they need a source of water to water their cattle from. For example, the wells where we live only run at 2 gallons a minute. That's not very much. That's not very much. So our water sources are really important to us. And I got insulted, and clearly I hang on to things for way too long, but somebody once told me that east of this major highway that's near us, nobody out there had a lake. There was no lakes, basically. Y'all had sloughs. Well, actually, we have some pretty good sized dugouts. And back west, somebody insulted our nice, what I would call even a small lake or large pond, because it's quite deep, where our summer pasture is, and called it a slough. Just don't do that, okay? Number 7. This one's a little more serious. Multi-generational farms are a dying breed. Yeah. So it's not a thing anymore. Glenn and I are Generation Xers, and it's a tough generation to be in and to farm. And the family farm, ideally, is family farming together. However, I'm going to be honest, it's not a big money-making project. But I've never considered it a super money-making project. We've always tried to have multiple streams of income here, but it's a lifestyle that can't be beat. Number 8, bigger isn't always better, and newer isn't always better. So the Cow Emporium is called the Cow Emporium because we have this sort of eclectic gathering of older equipment and things that we use to just manage the farm. And without Glenn taking care of this equipment for us and keep it running, we wouldn't have anything, because I mean, it is older equipment. And though we do have the benefit of having a smaller farm that we need to manage the equipment on, and not having to have debt for machinery or land. Number 9, quite often we are what you call a jack of all trades. And I know there's a lot of professions out there or just people who are interested in knowing about a lot of different things. So thankfully, Glenn and his dad, I mean, between the two of them, they're able to fix just about everything. There's very little that actually leaves the farm here. Glenn is a journeyman welder. He's also a pretty darn good mechanic, excellent carpenter, and plumber, thank goodness, other we would have spent a fortune on our stinky septic tank system by him fixing it himself. Thank you, Glenn. 9.5. I'm going to throw in a little 9.5 here that might be kind of upsetting to some. I don't like grass-fed beef. I think it tastes like blah. I'm sorry, it's probably all in what you're used to, but grass-fed beef to me tastes like wild game, and I grew up eating wild game that tasted better than some grass-fed beef that I've had. Now, my reference right now is our chickens. So over the summertime, our first batch of chickens, we finished on grass because it was still summer. And they do taste quite wild. They taste very grassy, very much like chicken, compared to our second batch of chickens that we finished in the barn on mostly grain and or vegetable leftovers that we had that we would feed them. They always had something fresh, but they were mostly finished on grain. No thanks, guys. I don't want to pay a premium for something that tastes like wild meat. Sorry. Number 10. We love what we do here at the Cow Emporium, and we're so happy to have you along. Thank you for following. If you have any more comments, questions, concerns, if there's something that you want to know about, this is the reason why I started this channel. I wanted to be forthcoming with what it's like to have for life on the small farm, and I want to bring you guys along for the ride. And thank you again for being here from Glenn and I. Take care, guys, and stay healthy.